Good day. So, in the previous session, we have discussed about the technical writing, then its characteristics, structure, and tips. And we have discussed about technical report. And in that, we have seen the structure. That is, these are the examples. And structure includes cover page, title page, abstract, preface, dedication, acknowledgement, table of contents, introduction, general chapters or central chapters, conclusion, appendices, references, and bibliography. So, and we have seen some tips like we should avoid the informal words, we should avoid I and we kind of letters. So, we should use third person tone. Then, statement should be complete. Tenses, you should be mostly present tense, and abbreviation should be avoided, and if it is used then should be in the full form. Then preliminary pages are in the form of, or the page numbers are in the form of Roman small Roman letters, so smaller Roman small Roman numbers. Then the chapters should be in Arabic numerals, and keep the uniformity in structure as well as font. So widely Times New Roman 12 point is used for the text, and headings and subsection headings are kept bold, and in some cases with 14 font. And then once you have prepared, then proofreading is very important. So these things we have seen, and apart from this, how we can represent the graphs, diagrams, tables, and equations. These things we have discussed. Now we'll see one example. So one thesis report, so that we'll get the feeling of the actual report, technical report. If you see now here, so this is the title, that is real-time optimal battery thermal management system controller for electric and plug-in hybrid electricals, and this is the title by Asman Masoudi, and this is the author name. A thesis presented to the University of Western in fulfillment of thesis requirement for degree of Masters of Applied Science in System Design Engineering. So this is your cover page, and year also given, university is given. Then if you come to the second page, you will see that declaration is given. So I hereby declare that I am the sole author of this thesis. This is true copy of the thesis, including required final revisions, and accepted my examiners. So this is available to the public. So this is the declaration doing by the author, and you can see the page numbers of this initial pages Roman 2, and this is the title page or cover page, which will be automatically page number 1. Then comes the next is abstract, and you can see abstract we have discussed, it is an executive summary, and the whole project is summarized in these 4 paragraphs with 15 to 20 lines, and they have clearly mentioned the objective of this thesis is to propose a real-time model predictive control scheme for battery thermal management system of given plug-in hybrid electric and electric vehicles. So what is mentioned, it is given, and then how it is done, those things are mentioned, and then what modifications are done after comparing the initial results, these things have been mentioned. And from the analysis, they have given the conclusions that design controller is observed to have turnaround time between 10 microsecond to 1 millisecond, and it is applicable to real-time automotive systems. And methodology, which methodology they have used, that is given here. So you can see abstract is with finite number of words, precise, and it is explaining or giving overview of overall project. Next is, this is page number 3, acknowledgements. So you can see that the author is acknowledging the supervisors, professors, then friends, and some other people who have helped during his research work. Then dedication, that this is an optional page, so this author is dedicating it to the beautiful souls of ladies who have not been given a chance to bloom. So this is for them. So you can skip this also. Now comes the important part, that is table of contents. So you can see here initially list of tables, list of figures, nomenclature, and these are still in the page numbers are still in the small Roman numerals. So 9, 10, 13, and after that the actual index is there. So this one indicates, excuse me. So this one, so this one indicates the chapter, and this is the chapter name, introduction. And in this introduction, and you can see the page number starting with Arabic letter, Arabic numerals. Then section 1.1, motivation and research objective. Then problem statement, and in again problem statement, two statements have been read, one with EV and another with PHEV. Then contributions, thesis organizations. Similarly, chapter 2, wait a minute. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, now this is second chapter. Second chapter title, and then second section, subsection, and with their respective page numbers. You can see similarly chapter 3, chapter 4, 5, and 6 is conclusion and future work. So these are our first chapter is introduction chapter, then second, third, fourth, and fifth. These are central chapters, and sixth one is our conclusion. And I mentioned that we need to give or glimpse of future work also. So you can mention that also. Then the bibliography, and now here list of tables. So still this is in the preliminary pages, page number 9, Roman letter, Roman number. You can see there are total 5 tables are there in this thesis, and those are at page number 25, 26, 29, 33, 78, and those are having the table numbers like 3.1 battery pack dimensions. So if you click on this, it will directly go there. See here, table number 3.1 battery pack dimensions, and these are given. Similarly, and this is started on the new page, and list of tables once completed, there are list of figures. You can see again it is started on the new page, and there are these many figures like with figure number, figure name, and on which page number it is given. So for example, if you click on this typical refrigeration cycle in hybrid vehicles 2.7, and it is on page number 13. So it is page number 13, typical refrigeration cycle figure number 2.7. So this comes after index page. You can see whatever figures are there in this total report should come here, and page number is small Roman numerals. Then nomenclature or abbreviations. So you can mention whatever abbreviations you are using. AC, that is air conditioning. BEV, battery electric vehicle, or EV, electric vehicle. Then MB, model based. MPC, model predictive control, and so on. So whatever short forms you are using, all should be mentioned in the nomenclature section. So here it up to this SOC, state of charge. So this ends this list of or nomenclature page, and now actual start the chapters. And chapter 1, introduction, and you can see the page number also changes. And here introduction, it is written with some background information about EVs and plug-in hybrid vehicles. And after that, the first section 1.1, motivation and research objective. So author has mentioned about his motivation and what are his objectives, research objectives in these paragraphs. See here, and author has referred many articles, and these are given in terms of this green color references. If you click on that particular number, we'll go to that reference number. So you can see if I click on 53, this is 53rd number article 53. So this one, a rule based energy management strategy for series hybrid vehicles. This is from article from an American Control Conference, and all the details are mentioned here. And once the motivation is done, then the author has defined the problem statement, and problem statement is for plug-in hybrid electric vehicle as well as EV. So therefore, he has created the subsections 1.2.1 and 1.2.2, and the problem statement is written for the both of these vehicles. And you can see it as the main focus is in this thesis is on PHEV. The research on EV is just a preliminary study, and further future work could clarify more details. So mostly the author's focus is on PHEV. And what are contributions of this author? He has listed down in this bullet form. The main contribution of this thesis can be classified as follows. So BTMS, controller design for PHEV, development of high fidelity model for PHEV, and design of MPC based BTMS controller, evaluation of MPC based BTMS controller using MIL algorithm or MIL simulations. And then BTMS controller design for EVs, design of MPC based BTMS controller. So these are the contributions from the author, and this is mentioned in a section. This is very important in any thesis, any report, that how you are organizing your report, and you need to give it in the summary. And this is applicable for the technical article also, or manuscripts or papers also. You can see the rest of this thesis is structured as follows. So chapter 2 reviews the existing literature. So it is, chapter 2 is like your literature review chapter. Most relevant areas, that is LI-ion batteries, battery thermal management system, battery thermal management controller, and optimal control approaches. Then chapter 3 shows the procedure of developing. So it shows the procedure of developing thermal management model, including applied battery model and actuator model for each baseline PHEV and EV. So this talks about procedures of developing. And chapter 4 describes control methodologies. You see, applied control methodology, chapter 4. Then in that, it starts with an explanation and non-linear productive control, and then adds another method such as dynamic programming, linear MPC, and PID. Chapter 5 evaluates the controller performance. So these are all central chapters, and in nutshell, it is mentioned at the last paragraph of the first chapter, and it discusses about experimental results, simulation results, and all that. And the last chapter, it concludes the research. So that is nothing but a conclusion. So how it is mentioned? So similar way you can mention in any article, whether it is conference article, journal article, everywhere we can summarize. Now when you come to the chapter 2, again at the beginning, for what is the importance of this chapter is mentioned here, and then for particular sub sections or sub main parts, what kind of literature review is done carried out is given in detail here. So you can see here. Now figure 2.1. So the three most common cell structures are prismatic, cylindrical, and pouch, as illustrated in figure 2.1. So if you click one, you can see different cell layouts: pouch, cylindrical, and prismatic. See, if you observe here, the figure wherever it is there, just before that the numbers is mentioned. So figure 2.1. So it should not happen that you are mentioning about figure 2.1 and it is after 3-4 pages. So generally it is expected that wherever you are putting some figures, it should be mentioned just below or above that figure. So similarly other figures are given here, and all the literature review has been carried out here. So figure 2.6, you can see 2.6, and it is just above that figure. Similarly 2.7, so figure 2.7 is just next to this that page, and some footnotes are also given here. You can see, go to page 27 for further details. And like we introduce or we give the importance of the chapter, all the chapters need to be closed, or there should be closure section or summary section of that particular chapter. So summary of this second chapter. So here authors provide background of on the BTMS and relevant areas and existing models and methods. And from that, it was observed that research applying a feedback control thermal management mechanism is limited, and rule-based controls were implemented, but they came with shortcomings that we have already discussed. Like that, one should come with the summary or closure section in each chapter. So chapter 3 starts with on the new page. Again, it is introduced here. Then this is session, subsession, figure, and this is also an important point that whenever you are writing, you should mention all the assumptions you have carried out. So mathematical model of battery lies on following assumptions. So assumptions are given in detail and with the bold and emphasis text, that is italic text. Equations. So you can see here equation QTF equal to T minus T air total divided by RTH. So this is your equation number 3.1. Similarly, 3.2 is another equation, and you see here cross-referencing is given. So all these equations, wherever they are mentioning, they have given with some equation numbers. These are known as inline equations. This alpha and beta, and wherever some assumptions are made, those should be mentioned at that point only. So figures are given and figures are clear and readable. All the names given to the blocks. Yes, figure 3.2. Sorry, table 3.2 is mentioned, and it is here at this point. And remember, always tables names are on the top of the table, and figures names are below that figure. You can see. So this informative one should maintain. Even while referring, you should see how it is written. Table T capital and that particular number or equation. Similarly for figure also, if you figure F capital completely 3.4 and writing here also it have. So there must be informative, either you use FIG or you use total FIG, but keep that same format throughout the report. And wherever you have taken references from some other articles, you just give the credit to that. Now figure this, there is a graph of temperature versus time. Airflow rate impact on temperature, fan on all the time. So you can see here the x-axis time scale as well as temperature scales are clearly visible. The numbers are clearly visible, as well as whatever color combinations are used for different, showing different uh, airflow rate are given in the legend form also. So here k equal to 1 autonomy, then k equal to 10, 11, and so on. So all these colors for which rate it is mentioned in this legend. Now this are the results. Again, heat transfer rate with versus time. Again, you can see here the graphs are clearly visible and all the names or legends are readable. So these things one need to keep in mind while preparing the report or article. Similar kind of example is there for this one. Autonomy model layout. powertrain, VPC, driver, environment. Where VPC means somewhere it might be defined. Where authors are not summarized, but one should keep the practice of summarizing each chapter. This chapter explains different methods applied for controller design in this research. So every chapter should start why that chapter is included or what is the significance of the chapter that we need to mention or list in one line. See how these are written theorems with bold letters and the names are with emphasis that is italic. Assumptions, whatever assumptions are made, written properly. Wherever some footnotes are used, those are given at word point. Like say for example 5 6, 5 6, 5 detailed procedures can be found in this particular reference number 41. Then the resulting system equation is given and it is represented in MATLAB is given in the reference number 8. Likewise, and generally whichever footnotes are used, those footnote details should be on that same page. Everywhere if you see, wherever footnote marks are there, those are described on the same page, like say 5, 6, 7. Here it is 7 is there, here only it is described. 6, 5, 4. All these on the same page must be described. That's it. In this chapter, simulation results are provided to demonstrate potential of MPC. So the significance of this chapter is mentioned at the start, and then the main context. So all the scales are properly visible, which needs figure name at the bottom. Here also you can see after reference current, battery temperature, cabin temperature. So text should be clearly visible, readable to the reader. The abbreviations can be used like this. So whenever you are using first time, it should be clearly described long form, and then further you can use that short form for abbreviation. So these are all different kinds of things. Then conclusion and future, chapter 6. So this chapter provides conclusion of this thesis followed by statement of potential areas of future for future work. So this is mostly useful when you are doing literature review. So you can refer the previous thesis, submitted thesis, and there also you can find out the research work or potential areas of our research work. Conclusion is mentioned into subsections like for plug-in hybrid electric vehicles as well as electric vehicles. And then one paragraph is given for the future work. So this is not mandatory, but one can always give the potential or the scope for future work. Once it is done, you can see no bibliography is given. So here in the bibliography you can check the links also, website links, and some articles. And articles are written, the author's name, then the title, then in which journal it is published, page number, or here also authors, paper title, journal, volume number, page number, year. Wherever it is. If you do extensive literature review, then you will be able to put number of references, and that will be useful while writing article also. So here the author has not given any appendix, but you can mention if you are using some. So this is one sample. Always there are some modifications. This is not standard, but this kind of journal will be there. Now we'll come to the second part of this technical writing, that is writing technical papers. Now technical papers are important for the academic purpose, for the fulfillment of academic purpose, or for the fulfillment of degree award, because in many of the institutes organizations for postgraduate students there is a mandatory for submission of conference papers or journal papers. So this is very important for the research students, research scholars. And now some of the tips and structure of the article technical report we have already seen. So similar kind of structure or tips are there for technical papers also. We'll go through that. Now a technical paper should contain the following points, like it should have paper title, then author details, all the authors who have contributed to that for the completion of that article, then affiliations of all the authors. After that, some keywords. Uh, Before keywords, we write abstract, and again this abstract is uh, varies depending on the journal. Some journals take 150 to 250 words abstract. Some journals say maximum 150 words. In some journals, it is between 100 to 200 words. So it varies depending on the journal also. But it should be a small paragraph within that word count. One need to write about his contribution. After abstract, there is one small point, that is keywords. So these points are related to both conference as well as journals. This is applicable for both conference papers as well as journal papers. So keywords, you can always use 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 keywords. Then you start with the first session or first chapter, that is introduction. Then in the introduction, you can mention about the related work, or you can make it second session also as a literature review or related work, and always do the literature review part and write it in your own words and find out the gaps, and from that you can mention the contribution. and then it will be having some related work, your objectives, your contributions, the main body. So it may contains session 2 or section 2, section 3, 4. Then one of the section may be consists of your simulation or experimental results or performance in experiments. This is not applicable for all, but wherever it is there. Then the last section is the conclusions. So again, conclusion and future work or future scope should be in same chapter or same section. If you have some organization has funded to your work, research work, then you can acknowledge that. Otherwise, you can skip. Then the reference section. So all the references you have cited or if you have used during your research work or during writing of this article, you should mention or you should cite all those sources as well as you should give it in the reference section. Then appendices, if some things are there, you can mention it. Otherwise, you can skip this. So once paper is written, check for grammar, check for presentation issues, check for formats and spellings and all the other uh, structuring of the article. All these things can be checked. Then check whether informity is there of all the figures, tables, equations, and version and distribution. So prepare your first draft, second draft, revise it, and when the paper or the article is accepted, then submit the final version for the publishing. So these are some of the steps, some of the sections needed while writing the technical papers. Now we'll see one by one. So paper title. Title can be long and descriptive. It may be short and sweet, or it may be middle of the road. For example, linear time external multipass sorting with approximation guarantee. So this is long and descriptive. And if you want short and sweet, you can write like approximate external sort, or it may be a middle of or the road like flush, a linear time algorithm for approximate external sort. So like this, you can give paper title. So again, there are limitations. Long and descriptive means you should not use uh, title consisting of 50 or more than 50 words or 30 words like that. So it should be a title, not the statements. Second one is abstract. So you state the problem, your approach, solution, and main contribution of the paper, and include little, if any, background and motivation. So why you want to do this research or why you are proposing that. So those things you can mention motivation behind your work, and then what are your contributions, methods what you have applied, and how you are verified. Those things you can mention in the abstract. So one exercise for you, you can write an abstract for battery management for EV example. You can search many articles on the Google, and from that you can write your own abstract. In the introduction, this is again important. When the referee or when you submit it to the some journal or conference, they probably made an initial decision about whether to accept or reject the paper through your introduction chapter. So a casual reader will continue in the if the introduction captivated them and will set the paper aside. So it is important, unless there's a good argument against it, the introduction should consist of 5 paragraphs. So which are those? First, what is this problem on which you are writing? You have written about that. Why is it interesting? Why it is interesting and important? Why is it hard? Why do not Navy approaches fail? Why hasn't it been solved before? So are there any earlier solutions for the same problem, or there are solutions but maybe your solution is more efficient, accurate? So that thing you need to discuss. And what are the key components of my approach and results? Also include any specific limitations, that is assumptions. If you have made those things, you need to mention here. And final paragraph of subsection, summary of contributions. So this is always important. So it should list the major contributions in bullet form and mentioning in which section they can be found. So this is I was mentioning in the previous example that organization of the thesis. So similarly, organization of the paper. So you can mention on which section, which component of your research work is described or explored. So these things comes in introduction section. Now in between chapters are related work. So should related work be covered near the beginning of the paper or near the end? So if it can be short and detailed enough, or if it's critical to take a strong defensive stance about previous work right away, in this case, related work can be either a subsection at the end of introduction or its own. That means you can create a new section. So related work may be a part of your first section or it may be a second separate section. Then if it can be summarized quickly early on, either in the introduction or in the preliminaries, sufficient comparisons require technical content of the paper. So in this case, related work should appear just before the conclusions, possibly in more general section, discussion and related work. So you can end that related work before the conclusions also in the discussion and related work session. So there are some guidelines related to the main body. So guideline number 1, a clear new important technical contribution should have been articulated by the time the reader finishes page 3 or the page 2, 3, 4 in that. Then next guideline is every section of a paper should tell a story. So here story does not mean the normal story. So it should be a technical story. And again, don't however don't however fall into common trap of telling the entire story of how you arrived at your results. So here no need to explain every individual step or step by step fundamental steps. So you can highlight or you can just put the major results or major things which by which you have solved the problem. It should be linear, keeping the reader engaged at every step and looking forward to the next step. There should not be no significant interruptions. Again, structure of every paper depends on the content. Running example. Say, when possible, use a running example throughout the paper. It can be introduced either as a subsection at the end of introduction, or you can keep it as a section 2 or 3, depending on the work. So if you have some preliminaries or notations, terminologies or definitions, you can uh, put it in after introduction section. Then content, it may be top down description or evaluationary description. We have seen approaches, top to down approach or evaluationary approach. Then related to results, so most of the times it may be in the form of experiments or simulations, and many conference or journals expect experiment results or simulation results. So it's easy to do okay or meaningless experiments and many papers too. So we need to take care of important points or important results which are actually feasible or doable. So what should performance experiments measure? Possibilities like pure running time, sensitivity to important parameters, scalability in various aspects, and what are the other questions? What should performance experiments show? So they show absolute performance, whether it is usable, acceptable. relative performance to naming approaches, relative performance to previous approaches, relative performance among different proposed approaches done by the previous authors. Then, in the conclusions, you should summarize the contributions or objectives defined in short summary paragraph. And while doing that, the paragraph simply repeat. It should not repeat the same thing from the abstract or introduction. And in some cases, uh, it may be possible to claim some more concrete or by referring quantitative performances results. So you are claiming in the results also. And in the future section, this is important part of the value of paper showing how the work sets new research directions. So how it is useful for the research community in further developments. So that can be put in the future work. And acknowledgements, don't forget them, and you will have people with hurt feelings. So you always acknowledge if your research is funded by some sponsored agency or your organization. So you give the acknowledgement to them. Related to citations, spend the efforts to make all the citations complete and consistent, and don't just copy and randomly from the bibliotecs or EndNote or any other reference managers. So properly put it, check over your final bibliography carefully and make sure every entry looks right. And it should contain detailed proofs and algorithms only or datasets as we already discussed. Then check the grammar, small scale presentation issues. So whenever you complete the article, just read and take the printout, read it carefully and give it to others, your friends, colleagues, so that you can identify some more errors or you can minimize the mistakes. Again, here some tips like do not use etc. unless the remaining items are completely obvious. Say we shall number the phases 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. And we cannot use etc. like we measure performance factors such as volatility, scalability, etc. because these are parameters which you have done or you have performed. So you cannot use etc. here. So you know exactly how many parameters you have measured. So this is wrong. Never say for various reasons. For example, we decided not to consider the alternative for various reasons. So which are those reasons you just clearly mention? So do not give vague answers or vague statements. Avoid non-referential uses of this, that, these, it, and so on. So sometimes we use this, that, these kind of words. So try to avoid those things. Here one example is given. Our experiments test several different environments and the algorithm does well in some but not all of them. This is important because, so here again this italics are for definitions or codes, not for emphasis. Whereas like most of the time definitions are given in the italics. Again, use of which and that kind of words is also important. The algorithms that are easy to implement all run in linear time. And the algorithms which are easy to implement all run in linear time. So you can see how that is defining but which is not non-defining. So you can use like this, these statements. Then once you're done, always run a spelling checker on your final paper. So proofreading you need to do. For technical reports or articles, the font size is different. Go with the template of that particular art, conference organizers or journals. And if it is 11-point font or 10-point font, you select accordingly. Then margins, single column or double column format, go with that particular format. And before final camera ready, fonts in figures should be approximately the same font size as used for the text in the body of the paper. So in the figures also we give the names, so those fonts will also be uniform. Table, figure, graphs, algorithms should be always placed on the top of a page or column, not in the body of the text, unless it is very small and fits into the flow of the paper. Then only you can fit it. Otherwise, you can fit it at the top. Every table, figure, graph, algorithm should appear on the same page as its first reference. So wherever you are referring that, it should come on the same page or at most on the next page, on the following page. Wait, because in some cases there are limitations with LaTeX. So before final submission and publication of your paper, print it. So I just mentioned some time before. Print it once and take a look. You might be quite surprised how different it looks on the paper from how it looked on your computer or laptop screen. So therefore, it is always uh, a good practice to take the printout and then go through that. So here we'll see one example of an technical paper. You can see here one article from IEEE Transactions on Circuits and Systems, Part 2. Okay, this is not an full article, this is an express brief. Brief is a kind of article which uh, gives or the small results or small contributions can be put in the article, and there is a page limit for such kind of articles, like page 5 pages only. You can see this is a long and descriptive title. Unified voltage balancing feed forward for 3-level boost PFC converter in discontinuous and critical conduction modes. Then the authors are given here. Abstract is always in bold letters. Then index terms or keywords. Then introduction, and you can see introduction is given. As this is a brief, so you can see only 5 pages are there. So therefore, introduction or the table and figures are come on the first page only. So a literature survey is done for this PFC control schematic, and you can see the figures, all the uh, names are clearly visible here. S1, C1, C2, S2, D1, D2, V0, R0. Then the result key waveforms of two level modulations. So all the y-axis variables, x-axis variables are clearly visible, and those are highlighted, or here different colors are used to represent the results or effectively. You can see here how the working circuit operation is mentioned by using different color combinations and dark and gray color uh, diagrams. So these kind of figures one can use. Then this is second section 2, equations with equation numbers. So here no need to give 2.1 and 2.2 because this is a article. So directly you can go on giving 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is a thesis or dissertation report, you can give with chapter wise numbers. And for figures, the names are always at the bottom, and for tables, the name is always at the top. Proposed EVBFF, all the equations. See how it is EVBFF. Proposed EVBFF is highlighted with some different color. Flowchart or algorithm is clearly visible. Then results, another table with title at the top, figures with all the scales, names, A, B, C, D, and what are those A, B, C, D, or everything is mentioned at the bottom. And then experimental results, these are given here. Then the again these are some kind of results only, and legends are given with appropriate colors. And here conclusion. So you can see in this paper unified to solve unbalanced issue in TLB, PFC, DCM, CRM operations, and the proposed can be realized by single key operations and all this. So here given, as this is a brief, so only 8 references have been mentioned here. So if you go to another article, we'll see just randomly. So here is another article. So here the authors, abstracts, then introduction, and the contribution of this paper can be highlighted as follows. So you can see the contributions are given in the numbered form 1, 2, 3, and this is organized as, and check section motivation of the work is presented in section 2. Section 3 derives predictive current controller, and so on. Section 6 concludes the paper. So figures highlighted, then here table number 1, table number 2, this one, figures experimental results showing the details, and all the waveform names, scales, units are given. Comparison of predictive, and they want to highlight these 2 points, so therefore they have done it, or they made it bold. These are again hardware experimental results and conclusion. So here the conclusion is given, and references. See all those references, and at the end biography is also mentioned. So these are IEEE papers. If you go with some other journals, so this is Journal of Difference Equation and Applications, Taylor Francis. And this is single column paper. So here title, authors, affiliation, abstract, keywords, then introduction, and all the papers. So this is single column paper article. Here you can see conclusions are given, then some notes they have given, acknowledgement, disclosure statement, funding, if they have taken some funding from that. So they acknowledged all those things at the end. And then the references. So You always start writing one conference paper, and for that purpose, you can select one topic and you can search IEEE conference template and download that either Word file or LaTeX file. So this is a Word conference template, IEEE conference template. You can see a paper title, authors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, abstracts, keywords, introduction, template is given, and you need to start writing on this based on your topic. You need to mention the contributions, you need to give the methods, then results, and then at the end conclusions, and then if any acknowledgements, reference, yes, you need to mention. So similarly, you can find out the latex template also. You can download directly here, and so every conference or every journals, they have their own template, and you can always start working on using those templates. So, so similar kind of template is available in this LaTeX format. You can either go with Word or you can go with LaTeX. So these are some references for you can refer for technical writing of reports or technical writing of articles. Thank you. So this ends our report and article writing. In the next session, we will discuss about what are the proposals, funding proposals, and then how to write those proposals and how to present them. Those things we will discuss in the next session. Thank you.